Larry, looking at this road trip ahead, it was one certainly that the first game tripped you up last time. What's tricky about this road trip, or is there anything different about this road trip than the others?
No, I mean playing in the Pac-12 on the road's always a challenge. There's no doubt about it. And um, you know, watching some UCLA video this morning, and they've got a lot of pieces to the puzzle. I think leading scorers are backcourt between Alford and Hamilton, but um, Welsh and Parker, two big bodies. They're a great rebounding team, and they have a lot of pieces. Hasn't exactly gone as planned, but they had a big win at Arizona State last night, and I was pretty impressed watching parts of that game. So it's no different than any road trip you look at. Really, it's a Pac-12 race that's kind of bunched up, and it's never easy to get a road win. So we'll have to get dialed.
The guys about being bunched up in the race, or do you just look at the immediate game in front of you? Do you guys talk about the big picture of closing out and where you guys are in the standings and all that?
Well, that's a good question. It's interesting. The only time I've brought it up really in a number of years was in the locker room prior to the Washington game, and that was it was bunched up a week ago. It's still bunched up, and we're not huge on setting goals. I like to kind of stay more in the moment with it rather than getting ahead of yourself. But I thought a goal that was worth talking about was trying to finish in the top four so that we don't have to play that first game in Vegas. I think that's a big challenge to have to put a number of games together in order to cut down the nets in Las Vegas, and that's obviously a goal we haven't talked about, but it's one that we haven't accomplished yet. And so winning a tournament championship would be great, and obviously it punches your ticket to the big dance and takes any guesswork out of it. So that was a situation where Washington was a game ahead of us at the time, and I thought it was a good time to maybe talk about it. And that if we beat Washington, we would win the tiebreaker against one of those teams. And you start looking at some tiebreaker situations. I think those are valid things to talk about. So beyond that, it's pretty much just trying to get through the next day.
Do you find any pressure in the situation where you have six teams that I believe are separated by one game in the loss column, knowing that at least two of those teams are going to have to play in the first round?
It's no pressure. No, it's. I've always said that the pressure comes in playing the next game, and when we're done playing 18 games, that's when you kind of add it up and figure out what story unfolds for Vegas. But it's certainly not a do or die situation if you do have to play the first game in Las Vegas. The first year we were in the Pac-12, Colorado did, and they ended up winning the championship. So it's not anything that can't be done. It's just certainly a heck of a lot more difficult to piece four games together in order to do that. So, no pressure. It's you don't play out of fear and have concerns about if things don't go well. I think you just get up to the plate and take a crack at it and let it fly.
You mentioned last Wednesday that some guys were battling, some fevers or something of that nature, and between, maybe a gap between some of the games, and then, a game where maybe starters rested a little more than usual yesterday. Do you feel like this last week really addressed your health, and these guys are feeling good headed into this road trip?
Well, we're better. I don't think from a cold and flu point of view, Chris Reyes had 102 temperature or something yesterday, so that was part of the reason he didn't play. We've still, it's kind of that cold and flu season where guys are still battling it, but I know we're a heck of a lot better shape, assuming we don't have any unforeseen things. It's kind of a day-to-day thing. When we've got a guy that got pretty sick over the weekend, you hope that bug didn't get moved on. But health. This is that time of year, health-wise, and I've addressed that where it's kind of survival of the fittest. There's a lot of little bumps and bruises, and guys are beat up. It's been a long haul up to this point. And you hope that you can get well as far as your respiratory goes, and colds and flus and those types of things, because they can set you back. So. today's a day off for us, a lot of rehab, getting guys, and then I'd get more of that report tomorrow morning and cross my fingers that guys are feeling a lot better than they have been the last week.
Larry, besides the fact that your last road game, it's the last trip home for Brandon Taylor and Dakari Tucker, you just talk about what that means to them probably and just what kind of impact they've had and just how good Los Angeles has been to you recruiting-wise.
Well, there's no doubt. Those were a couple kids. It seems like yesterday, and then you do the math on it, and it's obviously their senior year winding down, and they brought a lot of character, high character to our team, and their program kids that I'll always remember buying into something early on, and they played a lot of minutes, made a lot of threes. Brandon and Dakari both climbing up some of the career stats in things and different categories, and it's fun for those guys to get home, and probably better for them to comment on the importance of it. But there's a lot of players in that area, and we've tried to tap into it, and we will continue to do so.